Can we all rise for a pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask the secretary to perform a roll call attendance, please.
Here.
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 Present.
Here. Okay. All right. All the board members have received the minutes from the December 6th meeting. If there's no comments or concerns, entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. All right. Okay, first item on the agenda this evening is adjourned public hearing for Myers Run LLC subdivision. Need to, somebody make a motion to open the adjourned public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there anyone here that's in the audience this evening that would like to speak on behalf of the Myers Run LLC subdivision? Okay, seeing that there's none.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
No, we received a letter today from the applicant. They're asking to have this adjourned to the February 7th meeting. So need a motion to adjourn the public hearing to February the 7th.
So made.
Okay, motion,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. All right, our next item is discussion regarding site plan and special use permit for stage door self-storage amended site plan.
Upside down?
It might be upside down.
Everything these days is upside down.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Got that right.
Okay, Bill Povell, I'm the engineer for the applicant. Following the last planning board meeting, there was a lot of discussion and recommendations from the board members on upgrading the architectural appearance of the building. So we took some time to do that. What we've done is we've added 2 sets of windows to match up with the existing set that's on that side of the building.
Is that the Route 9 facing side?
Yeah, this is the Route 9, I'm sorry. Here's Route 9. And then this is the south side towards N&S.
Mhm.
So you're seeing the front corner.
Those are the two sides with
Parking lot is.
the street frontage, more or less.
So what we did is we blew up that area so you get a good visual of what the entrance area can look like.
Okay.
This interior part is on a 45-degree angle. And the facade is 90 degrees.
Okay.
So what we did, based on the discussions, we did 2 sets of windows to break up the, basically just the plain siding that goes all the way across the front of the building. We had the wainscoting, the over brick that was discussed along the bottom, and that's along the Route 9 side as well as the south side, which faces Route 9 down toward N&S.
Yep.
We also called out in the plan to change the texture 111 on the end to match the metal siding that was discussed. We added a mansard in the front corner to give that, give it more of an entrance look. With that, we're showing the metal siding to match the existing metal siding, but we changed the color to give it contrast to the rustic red. That's a standard color that comes with the metal siding. which matches up with the site plan.
Okay.
Then we did add, the other change is and it's hard to see here, but we did add a lot more landscaping in the landscaped areas. This is the front of the building here, where we're proposing the mansard. And we did a bit of landscaping between there and the parking lot. So those are the changes. That we hope the board will see.
I understand that there was some conflict with landscaping along the Route 9 side and the drainage situation. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Well, not necessarily, the side of the building that faces Route 9 is very close to the DOT right-of-way. So there's not a lot of space to work with in that area that would not be in the right-of-way.
How much space would you think?
So what we did at the last meeting is we discussed keeping all the existing trees and plantings. I sent pictures around. I do have them here.
Yeah.
And that's why we didn't address that area, because it was agreed upon, I believe, with this board, that the existing landscaping in this area
It was more,
would be sufficient.
yeah, I think, I can't remember. It was more to enhance it, I think, was
Enhance it
what we had
into
said,
it, yeah.
to enhance the existing.
I think I was at the town board meeting that night. I don't remember sitting in on that discussion.
Yeah.
But
Okay, yeah, 'cause as he
See, there
brings,
is, there is
Enhance it
You have the
into
picture?
it.
trees.
yeah.
That's what it looks like now. And we don't want to block the building. I mean, it faces Route 9. We want to be able to see it.
Sure.
There's really not a lot of room to work there either.
Does anybody want to see?
yeah, I think we got those last, remember, yeah, you pass it around. We'll take a look at it real quick. Just to refresh everybody's memory. I said I didn't bring the packet from last week, or from last meeting, I mean, for that. Yeah, this was the existing,
So we think with, with the existing trees and bushes that.
yeah. The one question,
With these
Yeah.
enhancements, we really feel like this is really upgrading the well.
yeah, the one question I just had, because I was just flipping through the pictures to jog my memory about do you have that existing sign that's there? That's out on the road?
Yeah, that's out in the DOT right away, yeah.
It's in the right of way?
That's in the right away, yeah.
Okay. Because that, I mean, is that gonna stay, or are you gonna get rid of it, or
The plan was to keep it.
was to keep it?
When the new business went in, it would be upgraded, so where we apply for a sign permit.
Yeah, so you're gonna upgrade it to
The
a
face
little
of-
bit, to make it,
Yeah.
to update it.
Yeah.
So short of changing the
upgrade it,
face
it'll be
of it,
Then the rest of it would not
Nicer.
be proposed to be changed.
right, so if you were proposing to change it in any other way, you'd have to get their permission.
Yeah, so if it was to stay, have to be, pretty much stay exactly the same,
Right, it would just be a new faceplate, with the new business.
just a new sign. If that's all you're doing, then I guess that doesn't involve us then at that point.
Yeah, but most of the time when we do a sign, we like to see some form of landscape around it to dress it up. This thing
Yeah.
here is just, it's not attractive. And the sign that you show on the building needs something. You got lighting in that sign? Because there's really not a very good picture of that or what you're doing with it.
Well, that sign is the existing sign. that we
I
have.
understand that, but right now, you just did the whole side of the building, you made it look very attractive, but you got this big ugly sign.
Right, and again, that's gonna be, the faceplate will be new.
Are those like, there's like a little row, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 hedges that are right up against the building there?
Yeah.
Are they staying?
The plan is to keep all the landscape.
I think you gotta do something with that sign showing.
Yeah,
something
like
a little-
around the
a little
bottom
bit
of the
more
sign.
attractive.
Yeah, like a little, 18-inch border stone around it or something, and a garden in the middle, some, like that sort of thing, right?
this one.
Yeah.
What about that one?
That's like crap.
Yeah.
But the hedge is up against the thing. What do you think? The hedge is up against the building?
Right where the sign
They
is.
look like just four hedges that were stuck there for no reason, kind of, sort of. Like
Yeah.
they don't belong.
Is that sign lit?
I mean, the
All
plan
the
is to
signs are
fill
lit?
in,
Yes.
that there's other landscaping now going around this, correct?
I don't think so.
Not in the
So
front.
we weren't proposing to make any changes.
There should be something up there just to make it
On the
look
front of the building, I'm
decent.
saying, wasn't that one of the areas you were gonna do? The sign was one thing. You just flip back to that page you had there.
Still lighting on all those.
Is there any lighting levels on that sign or anything?
Yeah, they have,
It's internal.
We have all that? It's internal?
yeah.
Yeah,
Is that like fluorescent lights inside there? Because it's a pretty old sign.
yeah. I mean, that's probably what's in there now.
Yeah.
Well, will it go to LED now? And then,
When they upgrade it and be,
well, no, we should need to know that.
yeah.
Yeah, so the areas that you were proposing was just, I know the front entrance we had discussed. Right,
All this is Route 9 here,
yeah,
all the existing vegetation, trees and bushes would be
will be
maintained. That picture
maintained.
was taken when when the leaves.
Right, when it,
I was
yeah,
just
it
gonna
was,
say it's brown because it's not
Yeah.
in the sun.
Along Route 9 there isn't. They haven't supplemented
Doesn't
anything.
look that
Yeah,
bad
they
in the
haven't
sun.
enhanced it.
yeah,
I agree.
Doesn't look
yeah.
that bad in the sun.
I mean, if they trim it, everything grows back in, I don't think it's an issue.
No, I'm really,
Yeah.
Can
if
you
you
point
said
to
it
the
looked good in the
sign
summer, it
that
looked
they're
good in the
the
summer.
freestanding sign
Then
that
that's
you're
cool.
talking about? It's right out
Yeah.
there.
Something around the base
And
of a
you said it
freestanding
was
sign like all the
internally
gas stations have, and stuff like that.
Yeah, doing the monument around the bottom,
Yeah.
or at least put some bushes around it.
Yeah, something around the bottom, just so it
Something
looks.
to, even if we put
Not
some
gonna replace
landscape.
it,
on
yeah,
it,
no, I'm
it'd
just
be
curious
cheaper
how
to take
bright
some
it's going
dwarf-
to be
To do some dwarfed,
after the fact, because it's not,
type
I guess the lighting.
evergreens under that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe if you put
yeah, I mean,
rocks
it's
in.
just talking about around that sign outside. I mean, I get the outside, I mean, when it's,
You wanna see that anymore?
you know, when everything's in, like you said, everything's greened up in the rest of the season, for those bushes. Just the concern was, the sign itself, the freestanding sign.
So we can add some
You
landscape.
just add some, if you add something low, usually because
Yeah,
most of the projects that come through as of, the last however many years, it's been, usually they're landscaping the bottom, usually building some type of, stone enclosure there, but it's not a new sign per se, but to put some type of evergreen in there, some type of, dwarf, whatever, spruce or some type of
We
bushes
can-
in
we
there
can add
that you
some
can
bushes
maintain
around.
around, just to fill in the bottom, so it's not just two legs standing up.
That's fine.
Some
Okay.
kind of, some mulch or something, some
Sweet
bushes,
pea.
make it look
Mulch looks
nice.
like crap.
What do you want?
I'm sorry, it does. Sweet peat is nicer than mulch,
Yeah.
it just is.
with a ground cover.
Yeah.
Why not say that?
But just the landscape, if you put
As
something,
long as they put something.
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, so I can add that to the plan.
if you could add that, and
If
Yeah.
you're adding those details, I would be curious, probably as a note, because you haven't changed the sign yet, and we don't really know what the lighting level for the sign is, but some description of, hypothetical maximum for lighting of that sign, because you may just change the bulbs, but I assume that it would be replaced with LED lights when it gets replaced down the line. And we've had
Well-
issues with that.
Well, then we would have to change the whole
Yeah,
sign. So the plan now would just be to change the bulbs.
change the bulbs,
The
okay.
way it is now.
Okay.
they just leave the existing lighting. Yep,
They're
okay.
usually fine, because they're not that bright.
Yeah,
Never mind then.
And this is pretty far off the road. It's not like it's right on the road.
right, it's not blinding, so,
And
I mean, if you're not,
actually-
if there's
and
no
it's actually
change,
lower than the road.
yeah. Yeah, and, all right,
Is there any plan for this mansard as far as lettering or signage,
Nope,
just as it is?
just as it is.
so basically no new signage, just the two that's there now. Okay.
I'm good with that.
What's everybody's opinion?
I'm
Everybody?
fine with it.
Looks good to me.
Okay. All right, so with that being said, do we want to move this have the planner draft motion, have the planner draft a resolution of approval?
Yes. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And
All
You'd
right,
like,
thank
you'd like to see those,
Yeah,
changes
so you
regarding
could
the
provide us
signage
a
and
little
landscaping
something,
as a condition? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that, as a condition, just that you're gonna put around the sign at the bottom. And that would be the only, other than what you have there, everything else is okay.
Okay. All right. I thought the board was going to consider a resolution tonight, being that, because the,
Well, you have to have them we just approved it to be drafted.
I understand that.
Yeah, so without,
I thought,
so with,
I thought that
yeah,
was going to be an option tonight if you were satisfied.
yeah, I think with everything, I think it kind of got lost through the cracks because of, we had lost the last meeting.
Okay.
Our first meeting in January was canceled. So I think it just kind of got, if we discussed it, we kind of forgot it, and I'll apologize for that, but, unfortunately, tonight, we're not prepared. Without having a resolution in hand, it's not that we can actually vote on something.
Okay. All right,
So for the next meeting, no, we will have that resolution, and we will get this thing squared away.
all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Do you mind if I, since you have,
The pictures? Paul.
to have some notes on that?
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay. All right. Our next item on the agenda this evening is a site plan and special use permit for Downy Energy liquid propane storage.
Take care.
At the request of the applicant, this will be put on at a later agenda. They asked to be removed this evening. Okay, our next item on the agenda this evening is Myers Corners Road Self-Storage Amended Site Plan.
Good evening, Happy New Year. Workday Dennis Koza, representing 169 Myers. The proposal that we're here tonight to discuss is the development of the parcel, or the building, I should say, in the back at 169. We were here a number of years ago for a data storage center. I don't know if you guys remember. That building's been vacant since that point. The building is, it's a two-story, it's about 100,000 square feet. And what they're proposing to do is climate-controlled storage on both floors. The site plan is, the improvements that are proposed are pretty minor in nature. We are proposing to widen an entrance that's there now by the mechanical room on the front of the building, if you will. We're also proposing to add a concrete ramp on the same side of the building. And we're also adding an entrance in the rear of the building where the existing parking was in the back. Other than that, the site's changes are very minimal.
One question I had, is there going to be any improvements to the outside for new entrances, or at least any enhanced entrance ways to, to accommodate the storage coming in and out of the building?
Yep, we are proposing, this is there's an existing ramp up on it's on the east side, but in the south corner. Right now, it's a double lane loading dock. What we're going to propose is a concrete ramp so that you can actually drive a vehicle up into that loading dock area. And this one would also be a 4-foot at-grade existing. So the improvements here would be the inclusion of that concrete ramp. The other areas that we're talking about making improvements on are we're going to widen this entrance that's there now. Right now, there's an overhead door there for mechanical equipment coming in and out. We're going to change, there's a retaining wall that's there. We're going to cut that back and make that a wider sweep so that a vehicle can make an easier turn into that site. That, this building is unique in a sense that there's a, the slab is right above the footing. The entire building is backfilled against the sidewall with material up about 4 feet. So in order to make this, we had to create this retaining wall so that we can make that sweep. The other improvement that I'm pointing out is on the rear. We're going to cut that existing curb cut and create an asphalt entrance to that, to the rear of the building. That's the only improvement site-wise that we're making.
They're proposing this as a drive-through facility? Okay.
There may be drive-in facilities later, but it's not that right now.
Are you
Oh.
anticipating that, say, I've got a storage locker here, I want to come drop something off small, I don't need to use a loading dock or anything like that, probably going to use the parking lot in the back by that entrance. Are you anticipating that to sort of be the main entrance?
Yeah, this would probably be the main entrance. This is the office entrance where, rentals and such would be. We don't anticipate, merchandise moving through that door.
Okay,
It would mainly be at this entrance, and this entrance.
okay,
So, and that gets you access throughout the building.
Yeah.
As you know, there's 2 floors. This would access on the 2nd floor. This one would access lower level, and this one would access lower level.
okay.
Okay.
So, Mark, as the building's currently, what was
The main entrance was here, for, I believe, when IBM was there, the office were there. This was your main entrance. This is where there's an elevator here. There's also a freight elevator over here, which we're not anticipating this way. So everything would just utilize the entrances around the building. So this was your main access.
So, coming in from Myers Corner, what's the access? What's the corner there? What's the
You come in this road, you either come in this way, if you wanted to come here. If you want to go to this back, you have to drive around the back to access here and here.
So that's all one way around?
Yes, yes. it is.
Okay.
This, if you guys remember, there's cooling towers here that are down, they're in a low area. That's why this area serves only the upstairs.
The way to get to the back of the building from the others,
From here,
yeah.
you can actually go down this way, yes. And there is access through the other side.
Those fences.
Yeah,
So
not
that's-
anymore. This is full access.
Oh,
So it's only one way coming this way past that rear parking lot?
This actually.
That's
this-
full access.
This is full access. This one's, it's narrow, but I mean, I've seen people do two-way.
I'm sure they could, there's nobody on the road, but it's labeled as a one-way.
Right.
Okay,
This is actually two-way, so if you're up here and you want to park back here, you can actually.
You can come
this
up
is
that
wide
way.
enough. I think the main goal was to access up front or come around the back.
okay. And your narrative talked about phasing, your EAF says that everything will be done in 6 months, I'm curious about that.
Okay, the phasing, I want to be clear, it's not the outside that's being phased.
It's just the inside.
Interior finish.
Okay.
The floor rating right now on this floor, we did an analysis of the floor. It's rated at about 80 pounds per square foot, second floor. In order to get it to what's required for storage, we have to add some framing downstairs to get the floor rating up to 125. That's going to be part of the fee.
Okay, so you'll start with that bottom floor and down the line add the second floor?
Correct. In the bottom floor, there's about there's an 18-inch recess in the floor for the data center.
Oh.
We are going to be filling that in so that the floor on the first level will all be at one level.
Okay.
That's part of the fee.
Can you add some notation to the plans that kind of describes how that's all, the sequencing?
Okay, sure.
And just, if based on what you're showing just in the plan, it's not clear exactly why some of those things would be done.
Okay, like,
Well, you answered why you're kicking out the retaining wall, but looking at the plan, if you've never been there, it's,
okay.
it's, you know, just add some, maybe some call outs and some notation.
Okay, I did do, did blow up, if you will, showing what the purpose of, I don't know what these came across, but you know, like this is the rear entrance, it's in the rear parking area.
Right.
I think it's pretty well detailed here.
A couple spot elevations would help just to show how drainage.
Okay.
You know,
And we also, we did a blow up of upper area as well. And this is where, this is the only area we're proposing lighting, which is right up over this road. So, like the ramp design and everything's on there, so.
Yeah, the ramp was pretty clear, but like that little, even with that blown up detail of retaining wall, it still wasn't clear why exactly that was being done, but your description might, makes it perfectly clear, and I think just a note or two will, help that out.
Okay, will do.
You had a very specific lighting plan. Those are the only places that you're proposing lighting. Is there existing lighting on the site?
There is existing lighting.
Okay. Is there any way we could include that on? Yeah. They're probably incredibly old. Okay.
We feel we only need lighting in this area, because if you're gonna access this at a later hour, I mean, we're only looking to elevate this, not.
Does that mean you're taking the existing lighting out, or?
No, it's not really, there's not a lot there.
Okay.
All the lighting in the parking area, we're not anticipating doing anything like that.
Okay. That does raise the other question. So we had questions about parking. Your parking calculations had you, was it just over or just under 200?
Yeah, it's about 200.
And the narrative suggested that you're not anticipating any more than 30 trips daily.
Probably.
So-
That's typical for most places.
With the change of use, you are going to have to take out existing parking down to your parking calculation.
Well, we want to ask that, because this is a tenant. They don't own the site. And, one day this may not be the use again. It may go back to an office park. I just feel like the amount of disturbance you're going to create to get rid of the amount of parking we need to get rid of to get it down to our numbers is going to be pretty significant. And I know you're concerned about possibly ecological use, but behind the site, there's 370 acres of wooded wetland. We just don't see the need to have to remove all that parking, and what does it do? How do we?
Well, our concern is that massive and unused parking is a blight.
Which I can list 3 or 4 in this town, Alpine. The parking.
Absolutely, but they're not here, and we don't have the opportunity to have this discussion with them.
Well, I really want to discuss this option, leaving the parking in it. It's just, again, it's not, Hugh Smart's not the tenant, or is the tenant, they don't own it.
Well, I would be curious what Jim and Barbara think about the reading of the code and whether or not they're going to need a variance if they keep their parking at double what their parking calculation is. Because that is the parking maximum comes down to 200 and change, right? It's 211 or something like that?
Yeah, it's small, it's a small number.
So there's also another provision regarding existing. So I agree with what you had said regarding the parking calculations, is what it says is, off-street parking spaces in excess of the minimum number specified below shall not be permitted. So the minimum is the maximum. Another provision regarding existing 249.5, structures and land uses in existence for or usage shall not be reduced below such requirements. In case of an application proposing demolition or alteration of existing development, which would require less than a 25% increase in the total number of off-street parking spaces to rest. That's the ability to waive that increase,
But it doesn't say anything about a reduction.
doesn't say anything about reduction.
Yeah.
So it says, but it says shall not be reduced below what's required. One other thing on this particular site, though, which is that if you flip over to the overall site plan, there's a ring road around the end of the property. So you're not going to be able to put, without redoing the whole traffic circulation on the site, you're not going to be able to expand the habitat adjacent to the site. So, in essence, what you're doing is
Yeah, it's,
tearing up the internal parking lot
Right.
to put in some green space. I mean, I think if the parking lots were on the outside areas, outside of the ring road, I think that might make sense.
But the other road is full access. Hypothetically, I mean, just hear me out. If you only needed X number of parking spaces, that top parking lot is more than enough to handle that.
This
You-
parking lot you should go,
No, the upper one.
this one?
Yeah, can you talk to me about how you access from the other
rear.
side?
This.
The full access, yeah, from there down through the full
You
access.
can come through here.
It's just kind of serpentine, it's not
Right.
straightforward.
And the other issue, though, I assume is cross-access easements, since that's a separate parcel.
There was, when Cyrus Horn was closing the gates and we across these.
Because the access,
Yeah.
this is kind of a strange lot.
It's very odd.
Land out to Myers Corners and the other end,
Yeah.
so.
no, I mean, it really comes down to what the board's gonna feel. I mean, it's, I mean, the sea of blacktop is one thing, I'm gonna throw, I'm just gonna throw out something, just, as possible. Instead of removing all the blacktop, maybe adding some islands within that area, some landscaped islands in there. They could lose, a group of, 2 or 4 parking spaces, and maybe put some, tree and some other stuff in an island, in a bunch of locations to kind of break it up.
My concern is that would mitigate the visual impact of it, but it's not
Right.
visual from the
Yeah.
road. My concern with it as a big empty lot is delinquency, what we associate with big empty lots, right? And
Right.
if we can get away with not having a big empty lot, instead of having a smaller one that's closer to an entrance, that's better lit,
Yeah.
with a security camera there, then you don't have that problem. I'm not quite sure I agree that, the recreation of habitat would not serve use because of the ring road. I don't think
No,
that
I'm
ring
just
road-
saying that if
Right.
you.
It wouldn't be connected, it wouldn't be contiguous, but it would be planted, it would need to be maintained, and it would serve as habitat for, everything that has habitat behind it.
Right, no, yeah, but again, yeah, with the ring road, it's the habitat for it to go from that, from that area across the ring road and reside within the front of the building would be less likely to happen,
It would also be a big area of impervious surface that would become pervious immediately adjacent to wetlands and floodplains, which has its own benefit.
yeah.
I mean, the apartment's glass in rough shape to the extent that, the owner wants to reduce it.
Yeah, I just think it's the end use.
Yeah,
It had a purpose in its past, and I think to remove parking and then one day possibly replace parking.
But are you gonna maintenance that parking lot to keep all the vegetation from growing up through it?
I can put a note in a plan.
Because that seems to be what Malcolm's talking about, because if you're not gonna maintenance or maintain that area, it's just gonna fall apart.
I think that in a few decades, if for whatever reason you put something there that does require big parking areas, one, it would require significantly less parking than the building currently has. And two, based on the current condition of it, you may need to redo it anyway.
So if you're gonna repair it and maintain it for its future.
I didn't say that. I said
I
right now,
understand
we
that,
have no
but
plans
Right now,
for it.
what shape is it in right
I mean,
now?
it's fair to moderate. I mean, it's a site that's basically not
So
being
if
used
you
for.
put islands in it and you maintain it and you, I mean, I understand what he's saying with the impervious area, but that's already been taken care of. You got drainage and everything
Right,
there.
drainage is in place, the
I mean, if you're
drainage
gonna,
works.
if you as a business owner, I understand the fact that you don't wanna lose it because there is a potential you're gonna use it,
Right.
hopefully in the future. So I understand that point. You just have to come to some kind of conclusion, what you wanna, what's gonna be done with it.
I like the idea of the islands. I mean, I think we can.
About to keep traffic from flowing into there, maybe speed bumps or something
Well,
to.
even, You know, one of the things, and I'll put my lawyer hat on, my personal injury lawyer hat on, to the extent that, you've got a lot of good there, to the extent that you restrict, usage of those areas, whether you, it probably makes some sense to think about. I agree, the one issue is with respect to redoing drainage.
Yeah, I mean,
Circulation.
it opens up a pretty big set of issues that could become an issue. Right now, there is storm sewer out there. You start to remove that asphalt, it doesn't work the way it is intended to. I understand what the board's concerns are, but I just don't think we're thinking through the whole thing. To take out asphalt and remove what is a natural sheet flow course to
Well, I'm not
treat.
looking to have you remove it. I'd like to see you just make it safer and maintain it so that it's not always an eyesore.
We can do that, we can maintain it.
To the extent you might even want to be able to just take it up and look at gravel.
Yeah, it'd still have an issue with the drainage.
Well, assuming it works with drainage.
We're still gonna run into issues with the code, right? I mean, they're gonna need a variance for having more parking than is required by code, right?
I thought that's not what he said.
Yeah, but
No,
that's
he
not.
he read a provision in which, if for whatever reason, he was changing the use and it required a small increase in parking, smaller than 25% of current spaces, you would have the ability to waive that.
Well,
But we're not talking about an increase.
What it says is structures and land uses in existence, for which building permits have been approved at the time of the adoption of this chapter or any amendment thereto, shall not be subject to the parking or loading space requirements set forth in this article. So,
I'm sorry, I misheard you.
so there's a second section that says if you're going to expand it, that the board can waive additional parking spaces that are required. So I think arguably, but I think just from a site notwithstanding, I think it makes sense even for the owners to reduce the maintenance that's required for that parking area.
And one other question, are you gonna be using that parking lot for storage for boats, cars?
There's none proposed.
Nothing?
No outside storage proposed.
No outside?
Nope. And
Can
we
you put
would've-
a note on the plan to that?
I'm sorry?
Can you note that on the
Yes.
plan?
Yeah.
I mean, would that be something that they couldn't do or could do?
Well,
If they decided to put,
well, if there's a note, no outdoor storage, they can without coming back to you.
So,
You don't wanna see a
so that
parking
would be
lot
part of the
that's in
approval would be
disrepair,
for
full of RVs.
interior
well,
storage.
they could
only.
add it now if they wanted it.
And they'd have to show where.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
big
Well, I mean, they got a
parking lot.
big parking lot.
Where we could go back there one day and see boats and RVs, before you know it, it's a junkyard.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to store your old thing than to keep it in your driveway, so you don't wanna see that.
Could be where you keep all your landscaping trucks when you're not
Right,
using them.
before you know, before you know it, we'll have commercial.
Well, I mean,
stuff back
a lot of people use storage units for workshops anyway. That's, everybody knows that. But, you know, we're just trying to save, I'm trying to save the parking lot area. I don't like to see you just tear it up. Plus, a cost factor to tear it up and then a cost factor to reapply it, especially the way things are going now in the future.
But I think to the extent you can make it less pervious and more maintenance friendly, I think it would benefit the town, benefit the property.
I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not sure what you're saying, how to make it more.
No, I mean, I think islands would do that.
Yeah, if the
Islands
board's
would
okay,
help. Keep the traffic restricted from going in that area, maintain it, keep the, you know, the trees from growing up through it, because nobody wants to see that either.
yeah, no, I think the main, you know, the owners do maintain it, I think, fairly well. It's, you know, it's landscaped, they do maintain that. So I don't think that's gonna be an issue. I mean, I have no problem with adding islands in the sea of asphalt.
Okay.
If the board's okay with that, I can certainly, I think that's doable.
I think with respect to, I mean, at the end of the day, typically, I assume this would be triple net roof, the tenant would most likely be responsible for paying for, you know, paying. So to the extent you could reduce the maintenance costs of the parking area, I think it's the benefit of the tenant.
Yeah, I don't think we have a problem with that at all.
So what's everybody's feeling with it then? Just have them,
I think the islands are a good idea.
Islands are fun.
yeah,
It gives you flexibility in the future too.
right.
Right.
So if they need it,
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
It's striped, but it's fake.
It's old, but it's there.
yeah. All right, and in regard to the parking lot,
Fine with that.
I mean, at the end, if we leave what's there, then just put a note that they need to maintain what's there,
Yes.
you know, so that there's, you know, it doesn't become, you know, the weeds coming through the cracks and, you know, there's, you know, that they have to maintain something, so at least they keep it to some standard,
Okay.
you know. I think that's,
Proposing any directional signs that on the way.
None proposed right now. We can,
I mean, it's a big site.
Yeah.
It's pretty self-explanatory. Like, I mean, most people, when they come to rent, they probably come here. And then at that point, they probably
hand
hand
you a brochure of like, hey, remember that?
they gonna put any signage out by the road?
I think there's an existing sign out there now that they would probably utilize that.
Okay, so there'd be nothing
And
new
it's just a
going on.
number, just an address number?
Yeah, I think so. I will get clarification on the signage.
Yeah.
Is that at the light?
I think it's,
It's like a freestanding sign right around that corner.
Oh, there is?
There's like
I think it says
Yeah,
like
it says
157-169 or something.
Yeah.
But it has the, doesn't have anything with the company names on it? It's
No.
just the actual address?
Right, it's just so you know that.
Yeah,
you
okay,
drive
because
to
I
the
drive by there,
destination.
you know, quite often, and I just don't remember seeing
That's
anything.
why, because it doesn't.
It just
the
doesn't-
brain doesn't pick it up.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, they're gonna be putting a new business back there. I mean, if the applicant's looking to put, you know, some type of signage on the road and, you know, and as the,
I'll get clarification on that.
as the attorney was mentioning, you know, just the, you know, along the road, because if they want something that's directing them to their location, you know, that should also be part of the application, you know, for approval.
Okay.
Are you anticipating anything bigger than passenger cars using that ramp up into the
They're
living
made
area?
for this ramp?
Yeah. I guess my question really relates to turning radii at all of, any entrance where you're anticipating.
Yeah, you could have box trucks going in
Yeah,
there for a
just-
moving
Just-
truck,
Yeah.
right?
You
Yeah.
can't come in a car with your couch.
Yeah.
Any of these radius.
I'm not worried about the parking lot so much, only where you're making changes.
Well, this area here, and this was served by a tractor trailer, this whole loading dock, because they took deliveries both this direction and this direction. They have a pull in here and they backed in, so we don't anticipate any turning radius issues.
Okay. I just wanted to double check. We probably don't need Michael to take a look at it if it's all existing.
They're gonna store any automobiles inside that building?
Not that I'm aware of, no. It's it's,
I don't think you can.
yeah, I don't think you're legal.
I don't think it'll fit.
Right, it becomes an issue, but it's,
You have to
yeah.
take all the fuel out of it.
They don't plan on having outside storage there?
No.
No.
I mean, it's actually a good use for this building. I mean, just being involved with it for as long as I have been with, just no success to be able to occupy it. This actually kind of pans out to be a pretty good use.
What's that building on front of
This building?
The school district was in there, but I don't believe they're there anymore. I want to say it was daycare here. This was part of the Cyrus One, and then they went to Jersey, so
I believe they still own it.
because these are separate parcels.
Right.
Anything else anybody on the board wants to bring up? Nope. Regarding this one? Yeah. All right, anything else we have? Okay.
So will the board circulate for lead agency on this? I think it is type
Well,
1.
That was the
We-
next thing I was going to mention. It's type 1 action.
There's type 1, okay.
Based on the way I'm reading it, because we're in a town of fewer than 150,000 people, and it's a facility bigger than 100,000 square feet, it
Okay.
triggers type 1. I'm anticipating an easy neg deck. It's far less intensive of a use than it previously was, but it is a type 1 action. We'll circulate
Okay.
to lead agency. And
Yeah.
once you direct me to, I will circulate
All
to
right.
lead agency.
All right, so, I mean, we'll, I guess we'll,
Do we need any outside approval?
Don't think so. Do you have the 100-foot buffer on the, okay.
Yeah, we show.
Everything's well outside that.
Yeah, no, it's way across the street. I mean, that's the closest improvement. This is the buffer right here. There's a buffer floodplain and there's both federal and state.
Yeah.
And we're, it's way past.
so there's nothing within any of the boundaries.
Got a couple interested agencies. I don't think there's any involved.
Yeah, maybe you might make any changes at Myers Corners, so we don't need to either work on it. So probably just keep it on, I guess.
Yeah, so no reason to declare lead agency then.
I guess we can proceed with an uncoordinated review and,
Just refer it to the county.
yeah.
It's already been,
It's already been-
already sent. The first submission always gets sent to the county.
Yeah, okay. All right, but we haven't heard back from them yet. Okay.
Is it possible to set a public hearing for this?
Yeah, I mean, we probably can. I don't see why not, right? The only thing would be is just waiting for comments from the county at this point?
If you set a public hearing, there will be some comments. I was going to talk to Jim after the meeting. Fourfield Drive is there.
Oh, over here.
Right, and they own that, correct?
They own the road. Road's
Right,
private, yes.
and many of the residents have continuously complained, one currently, that the road is not maintained and it's full of potholes. I don't know if the owner is required to maintain it,
Typically not.
so I just thought I'd bring it up because in a public hearing, those neighbors will come out.
As a general rule, unless, if we can access I guess that's something, we'll put that out into,
Let's find out if,
it's a recorded, right away.
Okay.
Easement for that. Because if there's not, then the underlying owner is not responsible to maintain it, it's the people who benefit.
That benefit from the,
Are responsible to maintain it.
okay.
So it's not the if you have an easement over somebody else's property, and you use that easement, then you're responsible to pay the cost of maintaining it, if they own the property, they pay the taxes on it. So it's
I
the
believe
person-
you'll find that to be true. Like I said, this has come up before.
Yeah.
And it has been looked into, but just for public hearing, issues, you may want to confirm that again.
Okay.
So if we could, yes,
Okay.
I mean, I think that when we did Cyrus One,
That came up.
I know.
And I think the response was, they didn't own it, or they own it, but they don't have rights to maintain it.
Right. So just clarify that
Okay.
for a public hearing.
And obviously that road will not be used as part of this application.
okay. All right,
So we are setting or not setting?
So, well, I mean, we could set the public hearing then, I guess, so at this point, just that, obviously, you're gonna have to do a little homework ahead of it, just to prepare in case there, there are comments regarding that road.
Yeah, no, we'll have that.
Yeah, and then it could be addressed at that point in time. So when would we be available to do a public hearing? What would be the next available dates?
So, I'm sorry. March 7th? If that works for the board,
Okay, so March, so that's enough time to post it, and,
Yes.
because I know okay.
No, that's more than enough time. That also gives you enough time not only to look into the right-of-way, but also resubmit what islands, how many.
Okay.
And what landscaping will be in it.
Okay.
So that the board will see it in
Yep.
advance.
Okay, so so if you're good for March 7th, get a motion to schedule a public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
For March the 7th. Motion's made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion's carried.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. Okay, so our next item on the agenda this evening is Central Hudson KM electric transmission line replacement.
Good evening.
Okay.
Never rely on technology, so we'll have some hard copies if necessary. I think Brian has family photos on there too, so we should watch out for those.
What you told them, family photos, good ones. What file type is that? It's just a PowerPoint file.
I think, can you click on the above?
Yeah.
Media? Yeah.
See how that goes.
There it is.
Yeah, okay. Huh? Yeah, all right.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Anthony Mirando, attorney with Putty and Pater, here tonight with Brian Denisco for Central Hudson. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for having us here tonight. I think, as you mentioned, we're here for the KM line electric transmission replacement project. Tonight, we hope to give the planning board an initial overview, provide some project details. We know this is our first appearance since our pre-application meeting in December. So, what we'd like to do tonight is get through the overview, find out any initial feedback, and commence the seeker process if the board is willing to do that. One thing that we'll see as we get through the project, this project crosses the municipal boundary going into the town of Poughkeepsie. The majority of the project is in the town of Wappinger, amongst another host of items that are relevant to the town of Wappinger and not the town of Poughkeepsie. So we think that it would be appropriate for the town of Wappinger to end up being the lead agency for this proposal, but Brian will walk you through some of the details. By way of background, so we filed our application back in December 22nd. We're seeking site plan approval to reconstruct this existing transmission line. You may recall, we were before you on a similar project, although this project's actually much smaller, referred to as the TV line reconstruction project. It's a very similar project, just this project's about 2.8 miles, and that one was, Brian, I think?
6.3.
6.3. So this is, relatively speaking, a smaller project, but generally speaking, is very similar in terms of what the proposal actually is. I'll let Brian walk you through some of the details as part of the presentation.
Good evening. As Anthony introduced me, Brian Demisco with Central Hudson Gas and Electric, project manager. And I've been before the planning board here before, as Anthony mentioned, for the TV line, electric transmission line replacement project, which is currently underway, as I think all of you know. That's been going very well. We are probably within a week to 10 days of putting that replacement project in service. So then we will begin the what we call the restoration and cleanup and move ahead into that last phase of that project. So it's gone very well, and we thank the town of Wappinger for their cooperation and collaborative work with us on the TV line. It's been great. And similar to that project, we are here tonight to talk about the 69 kV KM electric transmission line. Very similar project, a replacement project, and we'll talk through. I've got a few slides here that'll walk us through. The project location description, the KM line in total is 2.8 miles approximately, of which 1.7 miles of that is within town of Wappinger, and the remaining 1.1 miles within the town of Poughkeepsie. As you can see at the bottom right of that map, at a termination point of the Myers Corners substation off of Myers Corners Road, it runs parallel with the TV line in the same right-of-way corridor for about a mile. And then the TV line takes off in the southwest direction toward the North Chelsea substation, and the KM line continues in a northerly direction toward town of Poughkeepsie, to just west of Victor Lane in town of Poughkeepsie. The history, existing conditions of the KM line, essentially most of it wood pole construction. This line essentially dates back to nearly 100 years old, to its original roots. Field inspections through annual inspections and through repair and maintenance have identified significant amount of long-term degradation. Poles and the conductor wire, it's very old. As much as we maintain the line, it still needs to be at this point to be replaced, and the conductor wire as well. The overall infrastructure is reaching the end of its useful life. There is a point in time where we just need to replace all of that infrastructure, which is imminent. Existing design doesn't meet current design standards, as you might imagine. A line that is decades old, like the TV line, and now the KM line, was built originally on older standards of the day and of the time. Today's standards in terms of NESC, National Electric Safety Code, ANSI, American National Standards Institute, IEEE, Institute for Electric and Electronic Engineers, and other standards that Central Hudson employs would be utilized to not only replace that line, but it would be using all these current standards, which include storm hardening elements to it as well. So Central Hudson is obligated, as you would well imagine, to maintain its electric infrastructure, whether it be electric substations, our distribution system, and of course our electric transmission system, the backbone, if you will, of our electric system. So replacing that line needs to be done. The benefits of the KM line replacement, obviously maintain reliable electric delivery. We want to maintain safe and reliable delivery for customers. We certainly don't want to wait for major problems to occur. We need to head those off sooner rather than let those happen later. Increased storm hardening, beneficial to customers, using steel poles as opposed to wood pole design, and I have some pictures which I'll show you, really create long-term strength and benefit for customers for decades to come. Self-weathering brown steel poles would be used, very robust, very similar to what we're using on the TV line currently. Permanent removal of other inactive infrastructure within the same right-of-way would occur as part of this replacement project. It will clean up very nicely. Some retired infrastructure and some assets that you'll see in some of the pictures will clean that up at the same time, and we'll have a very solid project when it's all done. KM line will stay in the same right-of-way. with pole locations in generally the same location. It's a pole, what we call a pole for pole, location for location replacement. And it will stay at 69 kV. We're not changing the rating. This is just some pole information. As you can see, pole for pole existing, we have 49 pole locations. You can see that the average height currently is about 54.5 feet. Maximum pole height right now is 78 feet. Minimum pole height, 33.5 feet. And you can see how those new standards will employ a slightly taller pole across the board. On average, about 5 foot taller. Overall, 49 poles. And you can see the deltas between the maximum and minimum pole heights. Not too great a variance, but nonetheless being used for consistent with current design standards. Sampling of the existing KM line. As you can see, a picture's worth 1,000 words here. You can see both pole top degradation, weathering impact through the years of wood poles. As much as we try to maintain and do what we can, wood poles just don't last very long from that perspective, as well as these creatures called woodpeckers. You can see some woodpecker hole damage that once that gets created, it gets its own life going with expansion of the hole size and degradation, and it becomes untenable. We're even seeing this in some of the newer distribution poles that are out there. Steel poles, I can mostly assure you that woodpeckers do not like steel poles. They don't do well against them, and that's a good thing, as well as the weather elements as well. We hold up real well with steel. Existing and replacement KM line pole. These are just a few views I want to show you. On the left, you can see that's an existing shot of the KM line with retired infrastructure as well. You can see when we replace that with that pole in the middle, steel pole, and on the right side as well, an actual aerial photo. That's how that would look cleaned up and replaced. So looks much better than in its current state. Much better for the long haul. Same thing there. This happens to be a shot in the town of Poughkeepsie. You'll see that existing pole on the left, pole structure on the left, will replace that, and you can see what that'll look like cleaned up with that steel pole structure in the center and on the right side of the aerial. And we'll just, this is over in the town of Wappinger, over by the airport. This is a structure that, pole location that will maintain that structure type. We will have just less asset on there, which is the KM line replacement. And I believe this is probably the last shot that I have for you. This is right off the New Hackensack Road, town of Wappinger, over by the airport, which will reduce this pole location to the design that you see on the right side there. So. Last slide, planned schedule. Our planned schedule is, as you know, we filed our application in December, just last month. Field work would start if we have all approvals in place, including permitting, in the August-September timeframe is our current schedule. Being 2.8 miles in length, we project that this project would be in service by the end of the year, December 2022. And we would do restoration work thereafter, which would take us into the winter-spring timeframe of 2023. Weather permitting is always something that we deal with. We even dealt with it recently on a TV line, where we actually suspended the project for about a month to provide crewing assistance, line crew assistance down south to help with the hurricane back there in the fall. So we at times have to deal with weather. We plan for it, but hopefully weather permitting will be in service by the end of the year. And that's the last slide that I have.
Thanks, Brian. So the risk of minimizing an otherwise complicated project is generally straightforward. With respect to one-for-one pole replacement in the existing right-of-way, generally in the same location, and the right-of-way is already cleared. So that's the good news. At this point, I guess we'd open it up to any thoughts or comments the board has.
Yeah. Down and board members have any questions regarding the project?
I
Are these type of lines ever done underground?
Rarely, rarely. There's always a thought that underground is better because it looks better. Biggest concern with underground is that if and when there is a problem, you don't have access to the line and you don't have locating of the actual problem or problems as quickly as you do when you have a visual. And that is really the number one.
From a service
going
perspective?
underground.
You're also trenching for many, many miles and.
Well, there is, from that perspective, there's environmental considerations, right, where when you're just replacing overhead, you're not trenching, you're not creating further disturbance by going underground. That has other environmental complications as well. And we do live in a very rocky area. If it's not wet, it's rocky. Welcome to Dutchess County.
I had one question. You referred to this as a pole for pole, and we also had a couple of instances where I'm guessing they're counted as one pole, but the line is spread out across 2 or 3 poles.
Right.
And in those instances, I know that at the staff meeting, we talked about that this project would really be cleaning that up. You know, there's instances where you're going from 2 down to just the 1 at the base. So I guess my question is, when you're going from 3 poles to something that is just 2, or from 2 down to just 1, that's still considered pole for pole?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're not taking any credit for
Sure.
going from 3 to 2, so there's
I am-
probably like,
Well, I am curious about that
Yeah.
because it would help me understand really the degree to which the visual impact is being reduced.
yeah.
And so I don't know that you have that answer in front of you, but if you could find that before the public hearing, I would be curious to know, if we're counting it by structures hitting the ground, right, by an individual pole hitting the ground, I imagine that we are going down. And I'd be curious by how many that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would approximate it, but I can look at your study, but we do know that, and it is, we didn't want to oversell it, if you will.
No, yeah, I understand not wanting to take credit, but I am curious because I imagine that I imagine that it would be substantial.
Yeah.
And that the visual impact would be reduced.
Yeah, there's a whole cleanup, and it's hard to explain, in picture, you can walk the mile.
There's a lot of-
But it's Brian can explain it better, but even just narrowing the poles, keeping the lines tighter.
Removing obsolete infrastructure.
In many locations, the pole height actually goes down. So it's all about meeting the NESC requirements for spanning and clearance off the ground, as you guys probably recall from the project. So it's a whole different formula that goes into determining the heights for it. But yes, so there is a reduction in overall infrastructure within that right of way as a result of that.
Okay. Anybody else? No, nothing. All right. So I guess at this point, we need to authorize the secretary to circulate for lead agency.
I'll make
get a
that motion.
Motion, all right.
Second.
Motion's made, say all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And then, I guess, after the 30-day window for the circulation, sometime after that, if you wish, we could try to schedule a public hearing date at this point, right?
If we had just a thought, if we had the public hearing on March 7th, we'd be well past the 30 days when we held the public.
And March March 7th. So it'd be no earlier than March the 7th. So it could
No,
be-
because the
that
only
point,
other
they could be
meeting
that
is-
point or later.
Right, because
depending
February
on-
7th is the only meeting in February.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, we're happy to start scheduling that. Just to be very open about it, we have an appearance tomorrow night before the planning board for Poughkeepsie, which all indications so far that we've received from the town, and this is a speculation, they've actually written it down, that they expect that this board would serve as lead agency. So assuming nothing goes awry there, I think we'd be looking to move as quickly as the board will allow us. We
Yeah,
just wanted to,
so,
mention
okay, so I mean, pending that we're, that there's nobody objecting us being lead agency, we could, schedule a public hearing, pending the outcome of the 30-day window.
Great.
So if you want, if March 7th works for your schedules, okay, so get a motion to schedule a public hearing for this
I'll make that
project.
motion.
For March the 7th.
I'll second that.
Motion's made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries.
So I just have one comment. It's actually on the agenda. I don't know if this was on the application. The tax grid number that's listed on the agenda is for Central Hudson property on Old State Road East. The actual Myers Corner substation is tax parcel 6258-03-369392. And the address is 187 Myers Corners Road.
So this is what we did for the
TV.
TV line.
And the reason for that is because you're going from one end of town to the other, we needed a grid.
Well, no,
To
but the
put-
grid, that's the grid for the TV line.
Right.
The Central HUD, the Myers Corners Road station.
So we can use this grid for this project.
This grid is 369392, which is that, it's actually right next to the
Right.
self-storage that we
It's
just
not a
had.
substation project, I think there's probably.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
But
right.
there are poles on that lot that will be replaced as part of this.
So
Okay.
please use that when the time comes to submit for a building permit, because the last time we didn't know where to put it, that we could find it.
And I believe the project is starting over there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first,
Yeah.
that's where I got it
Right,
from.
So that makes sense. Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
So
we
I
should-
I didn't want somebody from the public commenting,
That
getting
it's the
people
wrong-
out on Sergeant Palmetier.
Yeah, okay. So
Commenting
it should
on
be,
a
it should, so technically it should be changed on the
Right.
application to that grid number.
Yeah, I don't know if it was on the application.
Okay.
We have all the parcel IDs in the
Yeah.
application, but we can talk.
But it's one, so the address for the substation, according to parcel access, is 187 Myers Corners Road.
Okay.
When we put that in the city, that's not gonna.
Well, so my question is, when we go to do the public hearing notice, we notice all abutting properties. So this is a little hard unless
Well,
you
they-
give us.
They have a list.
The list is in the submission, it's attachment A or B, something like
We
that.
started working through it, we'll work with B on this, we did it last time too.
Yeah.
We'll assist, because it's a little
Okay.
complicated, we're incredibly overly conservative with this, so we'll be sure.
Okay, good.
We actually, we don't just stop at the right-of-way line, we actually go beyond that, and then go beyond that. So in other words, a right-of-way crosses through a parcel, it's only a portion of it, we actually use the whole parcel as the
As the
other
line.
parcel, and then use it. So it ends up being way, you may get a
So end
notice,
up
and you're like.
notifying more than what's
So you'll submit the
necessary.
list
Yeah.
that you'll be noticing.
Yeah, Sandy will.
Good.
And then you
Okay.
guys can cross-check it and make sure it's gonna be comfortable with you.
Okay. So I guess at that point, we're pretty much all set until March the 7th.
Well, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Okay.
You have a copy of that lead agency notice, I'll run it over to Lisa if you need me to.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. But if possible, that could be.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
send that out
I'm
tomorrow.
so sorry to ask you.
No worries.
Maybe tomorrow.
I'll make sure that you get a copy as well. when I
Thanks so
send it
much.
out.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Have a great night.
All right, you too, thank you. Okay. All right. So we have a couple of extensions to go through this evening. We'll start with our first one, which is the Plimpton and Hills amended site plan. They're asking for an extension for a year, retroactively from December 7th, 2021, and running through December 6th, 2022. Get a motion to approve the extension?
So move. Second.
Okay, motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, our next extension is for Chelsea Farm Subdivision. They're seeking their 6th one-year extension on their approval. This is going to run from January 30th, 2022, until January 29th, 2023. Get a motion to extend this one.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. Our next one is Extension regarding BAC Properties LLC. They're seeking their 7th one-year extension on the site plan, which was approved March 2nd of 2015. They're asking for an approval to go from March 1st, 2022 to April 30th, 2023. This is the one we need to discuss a little bit due to potentially there's been some stormwater regulation changes from when this was approved.
Yeah, down in that area especially.
Hmm?
Down in that area especially.
Yeah, so, so we're gonna, so if somebody wants to make a motion just to extend this for 6 months.
I'll make that motion.
With the condition that they will, if they wish to extend it any longer, they'll need to demonstrate that they can meet the current stormwater regulations.
Okay.
Okay, so, motion to approve it for 6 months with the condition?
I made that.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. The next one is Riverview Land Company LLC. They're seeking their 2nd one-year extension on an amended site plan. If granted, their extension will begin March 17th, 2022, and it will run through March 16th, 2023. No questions on this one.
I'll move that.
Okay, motion
Second.
made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the last extension is for the Sikh Temple. They're seeking their 2nd extension, which is for 2 years on a site plan application for the construction of the new Sikh Temple. They're looking for a retroactive approval from May 5th, 2020, and to extend through May 4th of 2022. And they've had some issues which have held them back from coming here due to some of the COVID issues that have gone over the last year and a half now. So if there's no questions on this one, get a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that motion carries. All right. With that, coming to the end of the agenda, if the board wants to go into executive session to seek advice from legal counsel, we have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we're going to executive session.
Is this off?